It's my belief that we learn not only from our successes, but we learn even more so from our failures. So I want to tell you a story about a time in my life that I have failed. And I want you to all think about your own story, about you've done less than perfect or less than succeeded. So in saying that, let me share with you my final story, and then I'll close today. Folks, I've been in funeral service all my life. I'm a third-generation funeral director. But I've also been speaking almost all my life, too. I entered my first speech competition in the 7th grade in 1990 when I was only 13 years old. So I did it in junior high, all 4 years in high school, all 4 years in college. So I've been speaking a long time. Well, this particular story happened when I was a junior in college, and I was on my college's speech team, Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. As a matter of fact, I was a senior member of the team. I was a varsity member of the team, and about to give what I thought was an excellent presentation at the all-important state tournament. And I had planned the last couple weeks, I'd been memorizing a brand new speech. And it was memorized, it was 10 minutes, it was committed to memory, and I was premiering it for the first time at the state tournament at Mount Union College. We were competing against a veteran team from Miami University of Ohio who had an excellent team. So I get in my first round of competition, and there's two people in the room. There's the judge, and then there's this excellent veteran competitor from Miami University named Chris Tenaglia. So if this was the room, let me kind of reenact it right now. So as I'm in front of the room, and the judge is sitting there, I begin my speech, and I walk to the right and go over my first point. I start going into my first point, and I feel it's going really well. My hand gestures are going good. I'm communicating. I'm coming off intelligently. Things are going very well. I get to the end of the first point. I walk to the other end of the stage for my second point. And it's over here that I, again, start communicating. I use my hand gestures. I vary my vocal levels, and things are going very smoothly. It's going very well. The judge is writing down comments, and my competitor, hopefully he's shaking in his shoes because I'm doing so well. So I go to my third point, folks, and I go to the center of the stage to make my third point. And it's at that point that I'm sorry, I can't continue. You're like, what's going on, right? That's exactly what happened, folks. I had a mental block. I ran into a wall. I forgot my speech right in the middle of it. And I did the worst thing a public speaker could ever do. Sit down. I sat down in the middle of my speech. Well, what are you doing? Said the judge. Can't you just skip the third point and go right to the conclusion? No, I couldn't. I was cooked. I was done. It was the lowest point of my life. I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. And I did the worst thing you could possibly do. I sat down in the middle of my speech. So I failed. But what did I do as a result of it? How did I respond to that very negative situation? Ladies and gentlemen, I went at that speech again, and I memorized it the right way, backwards and forwards, front and back. I even went into the woods surrounding my college and practiced giving this presentation to trees as audience members so I wouldn't lose it. My roommate was an audio production major. He had access to the school's audio recording studio. I had the speech recorded onto a CD, burned onto a CD. I played it at night over and over and over again and subliminally burned it into my brain. Folks, I had high expectations going into the national tournament. As a matter of fact, I qualified for the national tournament the next couple months by placing first in each of the 3 tournaments leading up. And I had high expectations going into the final round. Now, the National College Speech Tournament is like the American Idol competition of college speaking. It's the Super Bowl, the NCAA Final Four, NBA Finals, World Series, all wrapped up in one. It's the best way I can describe it. It's like an American Idol competition where the judges judge you. You're competing against your fellow competitors, and hopefully you make it all the way to the top. So here, only 2 months earlier, I had forgotten my speech at the state tournament in Ohio, and now I was at the most prestigious speech tournament in the country. Over 100 schools competing, over 500 competitors of the best student speakers in the country. So here I was. There's about 180 people in my category, and I blazed through the preliminary rounds of competition. I made it to the top 24 in the nation, the quarterfinal round. From the quarterfinal round, I gave one of the best under pressure situations and speeches I ever had. Made it to the top 12, the semifinal round. From the semifinal round, I was judged good enough to make it to the final round of competition. The top 6 in the country. First place gets a national title, and then second place, third place on down. So I'm competing for a national title when only 2 months earlier I had sat down. So folks, with your permission, I would like to, for purposes of the story, just kind of recreate the scene right now. Can I have your permission to do that? Let's do it right now. So let's say this is the national final round. I'm the speaker, and all of you are the audience. So the judge calls out my number, contestant number 12345, Justin Zaber. Please come to the stage, and the whole audience clap, just like you're doing right now. And I'm pumped up, and I walk to the front of the stage, and I stand up. I puff up my chest. I smile. I look over to my right. I scan the audience, beaming with pride. Here I am, the national final round. I look over to my left. And finally, my gaze switches to the center. And sitting right there in that chair is Chris Tenaglia from Miami University, the same competitor that was in my round 2 months earlier at the state tournament in Ohio when I sat on my butt after forgetting my speech. And he sat there in the front row with a look on his face, ladies and gentlemen. Not a look of disdain, not a look of contempt, not even a look of jealousy, but rather he sat there with a smile on his face and, as a matter of fact, looked proud of me, because he was the only other person in the room, for that matter, the only other person in the world who knew how hard I had to have worked to be standing on the stage in front of him right now. Here was my competitor, a guy who wanted to win the national title just as badly as I did, a guy who wanted to beat my brains in competitively. But yet, that's not the smile that he had on his face. He had a genuine look of admiration, because he was the only other person who knew how hard I had to have worked to be standing in front of him now. So that's it. That's the end. Oh, I know what you're thinking right now. You're saying, Justin, what's the end of the story? Did you beat Chris? Did Chris beat you? Who won the national title? Did you sit down in the middle of your speech? Did you forget it again? Folks, life is not a Hollywood movie. If life always ended like a Hollywood movie, I'd be able to tell you I won that day, and Chris took second. But you know what? The truth and reality is, neither Chris Tenaglia nor I won the national title that day. But my competitor taught me a valuable lesson about life. That we not only learn from our successes, but even more so, we really learn more from our failures. So my question and my challenge to you is, what is your story? How does your story end? We are all successful, otherwise we wouldn't be in this room. But it is not our successes that define us. It's actually our failures. My challenge to you today is to learn from those failures. Don't sit down, but rather stand up, take action, make the changes that you need to make for the benefit of your business, for your family, and the families that you serve. That is my challenge to you today, folks.